All of our stuff is cut on routers. If we cut a piece on a router, all four sides and any inside cuts are made with that router. So the parts are identical. While doing this tape, I built a couple of these 300s, and they really go together easy. Just like I said, I'm going to stick this together just to make sure all my parts fit, which they should. And you got a set of motor beams that tie in up front here, but we're not going to put those in until we actually get this all glued together. They kind of be in your way. Again, we want to get those lines just where they're poking out up the front. The glues that we use, everybody's got their own preferences on glues. We use aliphatic, a white aliphatic glue, almost every glue joint that we put on these airplanes. Now that glue, I'm going to show you at the end of this tape the difference of glues, strength. I've got polyurethane glues, epoxies. I'm going to show you how much. We're going to tell you why you use them where you do, because a lot of people use a lot of CAs, cyanoacrylates. They use epoxies, all kind of home brews. People have found different brands in the hobby stores. Some of them work okay, and some of them just won't work. A lot of them are very heavy. We try to build as light as we can here, because we're building mostly competition aircraft. So we really went out of our way to test glues to see what kinds that would perform the best for us. And when we found those ones, we bought big quantities of them, because that's all we use. We sell them. We didn't sell them until a couple of years ago, but as people come in our shop and ask us what we used to put them together with and why we used them, and so we just market them. They've been real. People that's use them really enjoy them. The aliphatic glues are water-based. They don't attack you like a lot of the CAs and epoxies. you build tolerances up to certain chemicals. And epoxy is one of them. CA, a lot of people can't even use CA. You'll notice you get two formers that are rubber band together. That's 6 and 7. And the reason we did this is obvious. This is the stabilizer front and back for the supports. This ends the supports. And we cut them off and notched them for you so you could build this airplane on a bench rather than a jig. It doesn't really affect the structure at all. It just makes so you don't have to drill a couple holes in your kitchen table or whatever you're going to build this on. The big tangs go down. Like I said, these are for alignment on that thing. You want to end up just like you did on the front one. It stops with a former. We want to stop this one at the end of this plywood. That'll be our last clamp. We can use we use these little machinist squares a lot. Just go down and make sure our lines are correct. Which they are. You can catch little mistakes as you go. If you had to move the back slightly to get this last former in, you can check it with it. It makes it really handy. That doesn't really affect the aircraft that much if that's tilted, but it just looks better. You want a good looking airplane, you're going to spend this kind of money on a kit. Okay, this brings us to the center line. We keep a big assortment of weights, and we use it for a lot of things. Obvious things like laminating, we like to hold pressure on our parts as we laminate them. Another handy use is to line up straight lines, center lines, anything. F1 is right in the middle on our center line. This one's off very slightly. Again, we're trying to build a nice straight airplane. Push that one over and brought F2 within just a little. There's F2 straight. F3. Scoot the whole thing over a little bit. F4 and 5 are now lined up. Okay, last check on the rest of them. They're all on the center line now. You see, but it didn't really change a lot other than just straighten the lines up. And it's changed the sides to where they both have even airflow off the back. This is a very clean airplane. We'll also give you this template in the kit. And to check what we've just accomplished here is you stand this all up, you've glued it together. You want all these formers to be right. You want the sides to be right, but most importantly, you want this box up here to be right. Now, this is a template that's cut at 4 degrees. We can put it in here and check and see if this model is actually straight. So we're on the money. That's the unique thing about this ship, this model kit. If you do it like this, couple common sense things, you can't build this thing wrong. You cannot build it wrong. So you can take a big straight edge and go down the sides. You can see you got 3 dimensions. You got a really nice run out here. That's a circle we're about 3/4 of an inch. The circle means the tube hole. Same thing here. So you got a good straight aircraft. Now I'm going to build the front box up for you, and then I'll get a model that I've done most of the building on. I'll show you what you need to do from here. I'm going to pause for a minute. I'll get all the parts to put this box together, and we'll take it from there. A pair of motor beam supports in the kit. They call them S2 side doublers also. But again, the hole's offset. This is the top of the airplane that we're building against the bench. And we'll set these in place and put the tube in place. Now, on some of the models, on the other model, actually, this former spacing is a little different, and these motor beam supports, or motor beams, actually stick out way too far past this F2, so you can cut them off. Now I'll put okay, let's kind of go over what we've done so far. We've made sure we had a good clean table to start with. We assembled the 2 sides, pieces of each side, glued the longerons on, made sure there was no glue on top or on bottom of the longerons either side. We lined the longerons up with the front of the plywood. We sanded the top, sanded the bottom, stood them up on the bench on a straight line that we drew. Now it's handy to have it at 90 degrees to the front of the table, or thereabouts close. If it's not exactly 90 degrees, in other words, if the front of the table's got a bend in it, or if it's not quite square, it doesn't really matter, because sometimes when we're using our shimmy or angle tool or jig to see if the sides are straight, make sure the tube's straight for this box, sometimes we have to move this front slightly, and if it's a 90 degree, you have to pull it away from the bench slightly so you can get a little twist out of it. Now, when we stood all the formers up in it, after we marked the sides at the prescribed distances on this S model that we're building, we lined this straight line on the bench up with the center line on the formers. Now the formers will have a small pencil mark at the top of each one. Again, we're building the model upside down. The benches, the top of the model is up against the bench. Now we'll have there's a pencil mark on each one of the formers that we sell to find the center line. That way you can line it up on the center line. If you have to move the side slightly over to line one of the formers up on the center line, you can just put a